Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to our lovely lecturer, Madam Sarah, and to my fellow friends. Today, my group will present to all of you about the case in chapter 4, which is case Nagurdas, Purshotumdas and Co. versus Mitsui Bussan Kaisha Ltd 1911. Before we start, I would like to introduce my group member that consists 7 of us. My name is one ATIEQAH BINTI, one ABDULLAH, and the other group's member are NURUL KHALILAH, PUTRI ARIFAH, PUTRI QISTINA BALQIS, NURIN IRDINA, NURUL and PUTRI ASHIKIN. There are about 4 sections in Sale of Goods Act 1957 which laid down the implied term in every contract of sale of goods. These statutory implied terms are being laid down in Section 14 until Section 17 Sale of Goods Act 1957. The main purpose of the statutory implied term is to protect the right of each buyer, which include the protection to the consumer on food and environmental safety. Section 15, Sale of Goods Act 1957, on the matter of sale of goods by the description. In this section, it indicates that where there is a contract of goods by the description, there is an implied condition that the all goods shall correspond with the description, and if the sale is by sample as well as by the description, it not sufficient that the bulk of the good correspond with the description. For the further discussion, we will refer to the case of Nagurdas, Purshotumdas and Co. versus Mitsui Bussan Kaisha Ltd 1911. That is all from me. I will pass the presentation to the Putri QISTINA.
Next, I will explain about the fact of the case. The previous contract between the parties of the sale of flour had been sold in bags bearing a well-known trademark. Further, flour was ordered described as the same as our previous contract. The seller delivered the flour of identical quality but did not bear the same well-known trademark. Next is about the issue of the case. Mitsui Bussan take legal action against Purshotumdas for breach of implied condition by description. The seller delivered flour identical in quality as the previous one but of a different brand.
Court held. The court held that the goods did not comply with the description. The situation is the flour that Nagurdas bought from Mitsui Bussan recently had the same quality, but the trademark did not same as their previous contract. Because of that, Nagurdas want to repudiate the contract. Mitsui said that Nagurdas cannot do that, but Nagurdas still want to settle this matter at the court. In the case of Nagurdas and Mitsui Bussan, the previous contracts between the parties for the sale of flour had been sold in bags bearing a well-known trademark. Further, flour was ordered described as the same as our previous contract. Flour identical in quality was delivered, but it did not bear the same well-known trademark. The flour supplied did not comply with the description. Section 15 Sale of Goods Act 1957. Sale of goods by description. The rule relating to sale of goods by description is provided in Section 15 of the Sale of Goods Act 1957. It provides that where there is a contract for the sale of goods by description, there is an implied condition that the goods shall correspond with the description. In addition, if the sale is by sample as well as by description, it is not sufficient that the bulk of the goods corresponds with the sample if the goods do not also correspond with the description. Sale of goods by description covers all cases where the buyer has not seen the goods but is relying on the description alone. For example, goods ordered from a catalog or if ordered over the counter by a trade name. Thus, it includes all contracts for the sale of unascertained goods and sale of specific goods which the buyer has not seen prior to the contract. In the case of Nagurdas and Mitsui Bussan, previously they had a sale of flour bearing a well-known trademark. Later, flour was ordered based on the description as the same as our previous contract, which identical in quality. However, it failed to bear the same well-known trademark when it was delivered to the buyer. By looking at this case, sale by description is very important, whereby the seller needs to comply what they have showed in the description on the label or packaging when they want to make a contract of sale with the customers. Also, the trademark of a product is very crucial in sale by description. If the seller has promised to the purchaser that he or she will get this brand of product, thus the seller needs to comply what has promised to their customers, although the buyer purchased the product solely on the description. If the goods that the purchaser obtains are not identical with what they order, they have the authority to sue the seller and claim back what they have lost.